Guys, there was an absolutely horrific video going around on Facebook of several guys out in the street in front of some business or building on the south side of Chicago. It's nighttime and they're out there, and all of a sudden, this car just absolutely plows through all three of them, killing all three. I'm not sure if there were other casualties as well, but at least three have died so far from this incident. And the video is just absolutely horrifically graphic. I can't play it on here because that type of content, those type of scenes, sometimes get videos blocked. But it's bad, and hopefully they catch whoever did this. I don't know if the person may have been intoxicated or under the influence of something, or if it was an intentional hit. Because I've been noticing more and more in the homicide reports that vehicles there's been a lot more hit and runs. At least that's my impression. I don't know if that's statistically a trend that's going up, but I've been noticing like a lot more people have been getting killed by cars, and people have been saying in some of these that it appears that the car is actually aiming for the person to run them down. So I don't know if this is a tactic that's being used now in the streets of Chicago, but Chicago police officials said Monday that a high-speed hit and run killed three men outside of a well-known South Shore gay bar appears to be an intentional attack. Now, whether or not these three guys were actually like attendees of the bar and whether these guys are gay or not, I have no idea. That's a highly populated area over there, so these guys could have been from somewhere else. But some groups are calling for it to be investigated as a hate crime. And that's possible that it could be investigated as a hate crime if the person was targeting gay people. I don't know if that's the case, but the horrific crash captured on video shows a driver of a sedan racing down 7700 South Jeffrey, slamming into several men in front of the Jeffrey Pub, which is a long-time and very popular gay bar. The video shows the men in the middle of the street fighting at around 5 a.m. The victims were upended and thrown everywhere. Now, I say this, I'm reading this report as somebody that's been hit by a car personally that was going at high speed. It is, it's, I would say, tantamount to being shot. I was standing in the street. This was actually out in the suburb of Glenview over on Harlem Avenue. This was about 15 years ago. And car was coming about, I would say, about 35 miles an hour. Hit me directly. I flew across the street, fractured two vertebrae in my neck, tore my ACL, broke my leg, fractured my leg, and I was in a neck brace for about 8 months. But these car accidents, it was like an absolute miracle that I survived, and these guys unfortunately did not. So that video was taken, and it shows this horrific incident. But the three victims were identified as a guy named Donald. He was 25, a 27-year-old named Devontae, and a 23-year-old named Jalen, who was a recent graduate of Michigan University. And they said that one of the cousins of one of the victims said it was talking about how much it hurts. So the one guy was a great student. They said a mentor to many kids and very involved in the community. They said if any involvement, I know that Jalen was there diffusing the situation. That's his personality. So apparently he may have been trying to break up the fight, and he's never been in any trouble. They said he's never gotten into anything. He's been on the straight and narrow his entire life. A person inside the bar is suspected of leaving and mowing down the men on the street. So this may have been connected to the bar itself. Somebody was inside there that possibly did this, and that suspect is not in custody, but authorities have the vehicle they believe was used in the hit and run. So they said it's not being investigated as a hate crime at this time. We don't have any evidence, they said, to support that somebody was trying to harm these individuals because of their race, religion at this time, because we don't have a suspect in custody and we don't have any information that somebody stated that. So active ongoing investigation, and that can change once we get more witnesses and a suspect in. Everything they said can change based on those statements. That's according to the chief of detectives, Brendan Denahan. ABC 7 Chicago spoke with a woman named Victoria, who's the deputy executive director of the National Black Justice Coalition in Washington, which is calling for the incident to be investigated as an LGBTQ hate crime outside of one of the oldest and longest continuing running black gay bars in the nation. So I got to be honest with you guys, and this is going to sound incredibly ignorant, but I didn't know there were any black gay bars. I mean, like, I knew there were gay bars, but like not ones that were specifically like black gay bars. But I mean, you learn something new every day. They said we do know in law enforcement often are resistant to filing hate crime charges because there's a very high burden of proof that has to be met. So what she's saying is that you know, sometimes you can overcharge people, and we've seen this in a lot of high-profile cases where the public is crying for these like really heavy charges to come against an individual that they really want to see slammed. That's going to make it harder to get a conviction. It's always easier to get a guy on a lesser charge, and a lot of times people overreach, and then they don't get anything because it's very difficult. The larger the crime we're talking about here, especially when it comes to hate crime, because you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you knew the guy was thinking this particular thing at the time. That's a very difficult thing to prove. So unless you have statements by him on social media or written statements or somewhere else, how are you going to do that? So sometimes people want to reach for the sky with this stuff, and they end up getting nothing. So anyways, they said that, I mean, the woman was saying that goes into intent, motive, etc. She said, but we also know that the person who slaughtered 49 people at the Pulse nightclub was a visitor at the nightclub several times before that massacre, and I was there in the aftermath of that attack, she said. And so what we know is that often people will stake out our clubs for various purposes. So the National Black Justice Coalition is concerned that the South Shore hit and run falls into a pattern of similarly deadly attacks in the metropolitan Chicago area, and this is what I was talking about. They've tracked 7 black transgender women murdered in the past 2 years, and all of those cases remain unsolved. So when I personally think of like guys being targeted for hate crimes because they're gay, I typically think of like white nationalist type guys doing that kind of thing because they're very anti-gay. This, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to turn out to be that, or something else. I mean, I don't think that it was probably one of those type of guys, but somebody targeting them because they're gay. I know there's people that are against gay people in every community. Me personally, I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not down with the agenda, especially to teach that to kids in schools. Yeah, this type of thing, definitely is not the way to solve it if anybody is against that. So yeah, man, rest in peace to these guys. It was an absolutely horrible video and incident, and hopefully they'll catch this guy quick before he can do it again. Your boy Winnie C. Report. I'm out.